Frogman Friday.
Yeah, boy.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Frogman Friday. I'm Ryan Birdman Parrott. Today, our badass guest is Brendan Quisenberry. He served 18 years as a Green Beret, exiting service as a Sergeant First Class. He is the Director at Transcend Foundation, founded in 2022 in Auburn Hills, Michigan. You can follow Brendan on social media handles to follow the show. To learn more about Transcend Foundation, go check out transcendcompany.com. Brother, welcome to the show.
Ryan, hey, thanks for having me here. I've watched a few of your podcasts the last few weeks and everything, and I got to say, I've noticed that you have a different background. What seems like in every one of your things, so it's pretty cool to see. Like every time you pop up, you got a different background there, and it's awesome to see that.
I've found I appreciate you noticing that. So I found that I'm on the move all the time, so I got to do it where I got to do it. So because we just want to get the word out. Plus, I haven't spent $100,000 on a podcast studio for a reason. We just want to get word out, So let's dig right in. Okay, so 18 years of service, the highest level, Green Beret, exiting service. How did you find yourself after service, like finding meaning and purpose, and then how did you venture into Transcend Company?
Yeah, that's it's a good question, and that question can go deep. So exiting service, like a lot of us, was not easy. My transition, my ETS, everything was rough. And actually, ironically, looking back at it, when I was exiting out, I was already lined up for a really good six-figure job, and working at a weapons and ammunition manufacturing facility. I was an 18 Bravo in Special Forces, so like that's just a like almost like a wet dream for a Green Beret to work at a gun shop. And went over there for a little bit, and I had a real bad meltdown. Like it was just not good in any way. I turned to the bottle. I was drinking really heavily. My marriage was just utterly going down the drain, and for like no rhyme or reason really, to a degree, because I had everything set up. Like we had a good income, everything, but it's weird separation. And I've talked to a lot of friends, buddies. I'm sure you've, also experienced it with either yourself or friends and all that. I don't know what it is about like the transition and when you leave out, but you have like an 80-90% rate of what seems like a lot of guys have a rough time with that. And I definitely was one of them. And so yeah, that took me down some really dark paths. I eventually, I had, some multiple combat deployments. I think, a lot of my PTS it's always kind of there. And I think it really was creeping up a lot more once I was in the civilian world. I think sometimes we can suppress it a lot more when we're still on active duty and doing our missions and all that. We can kind of compartmentalize and, mission first, and then PTS issues might start creeping up into our lives in other areas. But once I transitioned out into civilian life, it really started creeping up, hitting me hard, and it got bad. And so I eventually looked at other foundations and started to attempt to repair my marriage and a lot of the damage I'd done, become a better husband, a better father with my kids. Heavily leaning off alcohol, almost going cold turkey with it completely. Outsourced to different foundations. One of them that I will totally give a shout out to was All Secure Foundation, and Tom Satterley runs that, and his wife Jen as well, and both of them as a married couple, and their foundation did incredible jobs with helping special operations guys, and especially in like marriage repair, but also like PTS, TBI awareness, mental health issues, everything. So they did some really good jobs with that, and actually still working with them. So it's continuous, not just an easy fix, but yeah, so worked with their foundation, worked with a couple other foundations to slowly get my mental health actually kind of back on point, and in a good place. And yeah, that was a few years. That took a few years of darkness right there. So yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know that all too well. Like you said, that the percentage, I mean, it's just hard. It's hard getting out. You're not around the camaraderie every single day. I always used to say that I'm not doing that job anymore, but I don't think it was the job. I think initially it was the job, but then you get into the rudimentary. It is the job. It's cool. It's easy because we do it every day, but it's the guys, and it's not being
Yep.
around them anymore.
Yep.
And it's not that high drive that you're surrounded by. And then you get out and you're like, man, I just went from elite to high school again. And so it's tough, man. It's really tough. I appreciate you sharing that stuff, man. But the most important thing and takeaway from that piece is that you sought treatment. You sought things to help you move and advance yourself forward. A lot of guys don't. A lot of guys keep it bottled up and go darker and darker. And you got yourself to a place where you're like, all right, I got to get out of my funk. I got to move forward, which I'd imagine.
Yeah. 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 No, to caveat on that, like that initially, that wasn't the case, right? You try to feel like you can just balance it out, right? I can control this. I can manage it. I'll address some of the PTS, maybe some counseling here and there, and I'll get better at this, right? And without seeking really any other outside sources per se. And no, I probably went a good year or two assuming that I could just tackle it all myself. And that's not the case. You're not going to be able to. You need to reach out to other additional facilities, foundations, resources, your other brothers in the community as well. I mean, a simple phone call to a friend can absolutely help. It took some time, but yes, eventually, outsourcing the work and getting involved with those foundations really kind of got me back on track. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm super stoked because, that leads right into, you said you went to get yourself mentally prepped. You wanted to get yourself square. And so you reached out to foundations, but that would in turn work you into introducing yourself to hormone replacement or hormone therapy, which is an interesting topic that is really becoming widely spread now and a lot more discoveries coming from it, which is very important because it's just one thing that we don't understand. We didn't know, right? So would that work you into or walk you into in these discoveries meeting this company that you now champion, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it absolutely does. It was interesting because when after getting some different help with different foundations, and then at that point in time I had a government contracting job where I was overseas a lot of times and everything, doing the contracting life, which is what seems glamorous and great on the surface and all that, but still creates a lot of stress and issues on the home front and everything, and very similar to the deployment life. So eventually I basically stepped away from that and was kind of jobless actually, and didn't really know what to do with my life at that time. Like I kind of had an idea, a lot of us, maybe look into like, passing on your knowledge. I was doing some shooting courses, instructions, teaching a bunch of stuff, actually, Oakland County, Michigan, the SWAT teams up here. I've worked with a few different SWAT teams for just passing on my knowledge and as a 1099 contractor and training them. So that was pretty cool. So I did some odd jobs here and there per se. But more or less, yeah, I went several months without having a job, and I was just, which was to a degree, and as I reflect back on it, was probably kind of nice. Like it just not belonging to anything at that point. Like, and I kind of just focus on my family, focus on my life, and I turned it around and tried to be a really strong Christian as well. So giving time back to God, giving time back to my family was becoming a priority. And the isolation at that time of not having outside distractions of jobs or anything was kind of nice to clear your head and think about what you want to do. And so obviously prayed about it as well. But anyways, I eventually was just in the gym one day, ran into an old high school friend of mine I hadn't seen in 20, 22 years. And a friend of mine named Jesse Kessler. And Jesse Kessler is co-founder of the Transcend company. And so it was awesome. Jesse approached me in the gym, and which is hilarious because as soon as he came up, he's like, "Quiz, hey man, it's Jesse." And I looked up at him, and Jesse from high school was probably a buck 50, just skinny twig, track star athlete and everything. And then as soon as I saw him in the gym, it was just like a monster, like looked like the Hulk, like he was just shredded. So it was hilarious as he introduced himself, because like I recognized him, but it didn't fully like set in like how big and muscular he got and everything. So it was hilarious. But plugged in with Jesse. We met back up for a couple lunches and everything. And then he introduced, like, you need to meet my boss, Ernie. And he's the owner of the company. He's also a veteran as well. So I was like, yeah, cool. Let's do it. And, so I eventually have a good meeting with Ernie and Ernest Collins, the owner of Transcend Company. And so me and him, obviously, like a lot of us vets, right? We get together and we just start shooting the shit, talking about old war stories, everything, and loving it. But it was funny because I alluded to one of my stories, which is actually very similar to one of his. But one of my stories takes us back to right around my transition out, ETS, 7 Special Forces Group, 2018. And right around that time frame, we actually had a whole bunch of doctors, mental health experts, everyone. We had like a team of docs basically in bed with our ODA, and they were doing all these diagnoses on us and just running blood panels, different hormone panels. They would hook us up to stress monitors, heart rate monitors for sleeping at night. They would follow us in the gym and just kind of monitor our protocols to ask us questions like how our dieting and all that stuff was, right? So this probably happened for about 2 months, and it was interesting. And like all the team guys were all like plugged in with these doctors, so they were getting all these, this data and metrics on each of us. So we thought that was cool. We had no idea really why that was. But anyways, so 60 days or so, 2 months goes by, and finally they kind of sit us all down and all these datas and start documenting everything that's basically wrong with each of the individual one of us. And so sure enough, they sit me down and it's just like, hey, Quiz, so we noticed that you got low testosterone, you got low vitamin D, you got thyroid issues, you got high blood pressure, looks like your hypertension there, your sleep is terrible. And I'm like, great, okay, so like pretty much at the end of it, I'm just like my insides, are just an utter mess. And I really, I guess, didn't pay attention to it. I had no idea. And I just didn't really think about it, because if there was some small issues going on internally, like what do we do, especially as special operations guys or even military guys, right? We suck it up and drive on, like, and so they offloaded all that information, which was, interesting to hear. And then I was like, okay, doc, what can we do about that? And they're like, well, there's nothing that we can do directly. We're just here to gather the research. So I was shocked, and I took that and I was like, okay, thanks. And so basically I eventually start talking to other buddies and everything. And I'm like, hey, how did you do? And so you're comparing, you're like, yeah, I had low testosterone. And then you find this common theme, like a whole bunch of us. Next thing you know, it's like low testosterone, low vitamin D issues, like a common across the board. Then I found out later that numerous teams were getting embedded with different doctors and all that, doing similar protocols and just tested and see how, the operators levels were functioning. And so, but it was becoming a common theme across the board that it was apparent that, like, low testosterone, adrenal fatigue, vitamin D issues, everything, the internal endocrine system and everything had just taken a hit from all of our multiple combat deployments overseas, our extreme training that we do stateside, and abroad as well. It just wears and tears on our systems. And so what did I do with that information in 2018? Nothing. So that's when I went in the contracting world, didn't really address it at that point in time, but was aware of it and was always looking a little bit deeper into it as time goes on. But I didn't really do anything about it until now, circa, 2022, beginning of this year, dove into it. And then the next thing you know, my best friend I hadn't seen in a while, 20 years, tells me he's running a hormone replacement therapy clinic and introduces me to Ernie. We both hit it off. And then Ernie noticed the same problems with the military veterans as well, and in his community and the stuff that he had been in. And so we basically decided to, at that point in time, to create a foundation. Let's try and reach out. Let's create the awareness for this, and let's try and help as many veterans as we can to get the help that they can to kind of balance out their hormones and get those operators, those soldiers, the service members, and then also, like first responders, like get them back to baseline. So let's get them back to, full optimization, so they can continue to be the best version of themselves and everything. And that's where the foundation is right now. And that's kind of how I got plugged in. And Ernie, he promoted me to, pretty much director. I'm running the entire foundation now. And it's now my mission to try and help as many vets and service members as I can to create this awareness, and then also help them with their health internally as well, mental and physical health.
Check. There's a lot. So let's break that down into two categories here. So we'll take the fork to the left first. Transcend Company. I'm brand new. I just got out of the military. What does it look like for me to come to you? What does that process look like to getting from starting point to protocol, and then good feeling afterwards? What does that all look like?
Absolutely. Good question. So right away, transcendcompany.com, you go on that, then you'll go onto our website, and then on there you'll have a patient intake form, and it's right on the main page. So fill out your first initial patient intake form. At that point in time, you'll get an email back that will basically schedule you for your labs. And then at that point in time, what's really cool is that we are licensed in all 50 states. Our medications are FDA approved. And then at that point in time, we're trying to make it a lot more convenient for the end user, or the service member, the patients, that this stuff gets delivered right to their door, right? And so all they have to do is go to a local, lab corp, or different pharmacies or doctor labs, get their bloods drawn that day. On the point where they get them drawn within 48, 72 hours, one of our wellness specialists will then reach out to them and start specifically breaking down everything with our in-depth lab panels that we have, a very thorough hormone and blood work and everything that we do. And our wellness specialists will be able to break down what's going on with that person, and then how basically we can help optimize them and fix them in those certain areas. And so at that point in time, we will customize a plan for them. It will then, depending on, because the stuff eventually costs money, but eventually it will circle back to the doctor approving it. And then all of our meds are basically cut right then and there to that person at that point in time, then delivered right to their doorstep, and with instructions and simple things to get on whatever the protocol might be. If it's, some TRT, or, some thyroid DHEA meds, something, simple as that, you start getting on those protocols. And within a few weeks, we've had great results of people like just immediately coming back feeling a lot better with these different protocols. And then the whole point is, or what we're really good at, is just it's the customization of being able to talk to that specific person, find out what his issues are, address his current lifestyle goals and everything, and then how can we meet that from our end. And our wellness specialists are really good at doing that and keeping it personalized and professional, and taking a deep dive into that person and what they want to accomplish with their life. And then we have the ability to provide a lot of different medications to help them achieve, total optimization.
So somebody goes to transcendcompany.com. Is it anybody? Is it veteran, first responder? Who can go to this website and start?
Anyone can go to the website and start. Transcend Company, is open to, anyone. So anyone wants to fill out that intake form. 10% in first responders, absolutely. Put that on the intake doc, or let the wellness specialist know. You get 10% discount on the medications and everything. So definitely let them know that if you're, veteran, first responder and whatnot. But other than that, the additional patients and everything, go there, fill out the intake form. Anyone can do it. And then you'll get a thorough deep dive of what is going on with you and your body, if thoroughly broken down by a wellness specialist. And then at that point in time, we can range a wide range of protocols that we can help facilitate and help that person get better.
So before we get into the foundation side of the house, so you're on protocol right now, right? So
I
talk
am.
to us about, now you have found a place where you can actually take the information the Army initially looked at
Mhm.
and now move it forward. How are you feeling when you start? How are you feeling now? Talk to me about that.
Awesome. 90 days, about 90 days ago, I've been on different protocols. And so for me, again, low testosterone was one of the issues. DHEA, thyroid were a few of my issues as well. So I immediately got on some of those meds. And it's not instant, right? So a lot of these medications, like, most as well, like, you have to be on them for a few weeks to, a couple months to really start seeing the results. But it was really interesting to see my changing. And I guess for me, maybe a point where I was, feeling a little bit better, but maybe not noticing that much. But it was comments that my wife would make, where she noticed that I was a lot better, a lot more attentive with my kids, and kind of paying more attention to them, or spending more quality time with them versus being more tuned out. So certain things like that definitely helped in my life. Another one of my protocols that I got on, right. So I'd mentioned, I've had TBI issues with some IED explosions and blasts that I'd been in, to which I know you're familiar with as well. So mental health issues, and PTS, so like forgetfulness and anxiety, irritability, aggressiveness, right? Those are things that, can kind of definitely trigger some of those things. So we got on one that's dihexa, and dihexa is actually like builds like brain repairs and everything. So that I started taking that, and that was really helping me with like my focus, just being able to like remember names and everything. I can meet someone and forget a name instantly, right? And just little things like that where I was on these medications, and it was just really helping me being able to like just be switched on and tune and kind of tackle my day a lot more like thoroughly with some of the protocols that I'm on. So it's crazy some of the meds that we really have to address a lot of different needs.
And you have an interesting number. How many meds and what can you pull from? What does that arsenal look like?
So I don't have the exact number. I'm told, and I'm tracking, we have over 4,000 different types of medications, right? And so we have like a R&D, team and people that actually can put this stuff together. And again, so like my protocol, as soon as I went in and they found out, some thyroid issues, some DHE issue, A issues, right then and there, that is when the medications are then being built for me. Like right then. So they're not sitting at a shop on a pharmacy for months at a time or anything. Like it's custom built, made and designed right there in the labs, and then sent straight to my doorstep for me. And so yeah, that's a number I heard right around. We have 4,000 different types of medications, and these medications can range from oral to topical to nasal to injections of sub-Q or intermuscular. So there's a wide range of availability and options that we have for different means of getting the medications to the right place and to different just different styles of delivery.
It's fascinating, man. It's cool to see how complex, we can get out and think that it's just there's just nowhere to go, and then you go through all treatments and you're like, man, and that was the biggest thing for me when I had met you. We started talking, I started following you guys on social, and then I specifically heard, I believe it was Jesse saying that you can take testosterone, you can take certain protocols and still feel like shit.
Hmm.
And for me, it was my deal. It's like I've been able to operate physically, and I feel like I've been able to somewhat function mentally since my service ended. However, I always just felt like shit. I always knew that it was different. I always knew it wasn't right. And it was like everything that I would try to do never seemed to solve that equation. So when I heard that, I was like, finally, somebody's saying the same thing that I've been thinking. Okay, moving forward. So this is awesome. Okay, so that's transcendcompany.com
Yep.
as a whole. Now let's talk about Transcend the Foundation. Talk to me about that.
Absolutely. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit pending. We filed about 3-4 months ago. We are still waiting on our IRS tax stamp to get approved, which hopefully should be any day now. So looking forward to that. Our webpage design right now, right? So any information technically, you have to go to transcendcompany.com, the official company's page. Our website is currently being built out right now, but hopefully should be done and launched within the next 30 days. I would like to hopefully have that happen. So a couple of those things being built out, but the foundation right now, from where we're at, we've made some really good headways and some good partnerships with other foundations right now. A few of them are still in the works, so I don't want to allude to who those are. Definitely well names, to those foundations, but we love the fact that we're partnering with other foundations and being able to just continue to bring the same awareness, especially in the veteran community, first responder community, to get out there, like how these issues with the endocrine system and how like just brain fog, adrenal fatigue, low testosterone, a lot of these things are just very common amongst your first responders and your veterans, and a lot of times they don't really know it. Like it's not an insane dire need that needs to like be addressed right away, or it's not that like it's just like that slow drip in that individual's life of just bad quality and bad health, but it's something that a lot of people just push on through. So until they have their labs completely done up and ran to know what kind of issues they might be having, they're just always going to be operating at like suboptimal. And so that is what our foundation definitely aims to do. It piggybacks right off the Transcend company's model of how successful they are and what they're doing, addressing, a lot of the HRT and peptides and protocols out there for these issues that I've been saying. So now the foundation can utilize what the company has already established, and then we can give that back to veterans and first responders at obviously what we're shooting for at no cost to them. And hence the foundation and eventually bringing in the money, all the proceeds are going to be going right back out to the veterans, first responders to be able to pay for their treatments and everything and to be able to get them back to full optimization with their lives. So pretty exciting stuff going on with the foundation right now. A couple of the partnerships, we have a couple events coming up that I could talk about, I guess at the end. But it's been pretty cool, and I've been just a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, a lot of networking, reaching out to our people in our community with Green Berets, Navy SEALs, in the special operations community, in the big veteran community as a whole. And then the same thing right now, I got some good contacts with firefighters and first responders, law enforcement agencies as well, that are very excited and on board and can't wait to start sending us some of their people over so we can start helping. And so it's just all in development, baby stages right now, and it's crazy. Like I said, I was Green Beret. I don't know anything about running a 501c3, nonprofit, but what do you do? What are we all trained to do, right? You figure it out, you kind of got the mission, and clearly I got the passion from my background and experience of all the stuff that I've been through. And so now I just want to be able to find that information, find those partnerships, network, and be able to give that help back to all the other veterans and first responders out there.
Well, you're going to be a lot of people listening to this typically are in the charity space because that's what I've been doing with my life for the last 10 years. So a lot of people I've networked with over the years listen to these things. So what does your ideal partner look like, and what are you looking for just in general as a partnership?
Well, geez, I mean, ideal partner, yeah, just people in the same space. So other foundations, clearly, that we're just reaching out to different other foundations that are already doing it. I mean, so you got your Gary Sinise foundations that are real big, with the veteran and first responders and all that. So you got these other foundations out there that are kind of pioneering or spearheading the way and some really good movements. And of course, you see them, you respect them and everything. So there's those are some organizations that I am definitely trying to emulate within our company, and then to also include hopefully partnering with a few, definitely a lot of the big names out there, and that's my goal. But I it's hard to just completely identify, say I want it to, I want to partner with exactly this charity per se, but the same people, the same goals. A lot of different charities we've been working with that have slightly different angles to helping people, right? So our charity right now is primarily focusing on the physical recovery issues and mental health issues as well. We would like to eventually outsource a lot more of our work as well. So one example is we are partnering with Give an Hour Foundation. And so Give an Hour Foundation out of DC, but they have a lot of psychiatrists and people on staff that literally they give an hour of their time to service members for therapy sessions and everything, and as many sessions as it needs to be, right? So that's, we don't specialize in therapy per se, but like that's an organization that we love the idea of partnering with, because then we can help somebody address their problems internally and get them back to baseline. But then that it just doesn't end there, right? There's so many different pieces to fixing one individual. At that point in time, he might need some additional therapy sessions or just some people that we can outsource the work to and partner with, and then kick them over to their end to continue to help that veteran or first responder continue to get help and get better. We only cover like a piece of the pie, and we're pretty good at what we specialize in, but we love the fact of partnering with other organizations who are very good at some of the niche areas that they specialize in. And so, yeah, no, we're looking forward to it. Another one, Tribe, Task, and Purpose, right? Navy SEAL, they're out of Virginia Beach. And so substance abuse problem, right? So a lot of veterans, ETS, talking about turning the bottle, drugs, alcohol becomes a huge issue, which heavily goes into suicidal rates going high. So Tribe, Task, and Purpose, we got some things in developments with them right now as well, but same like-minded people, and they specialize in that. And so there's areas that we can partner with them and on areas that we provide, but then I love what they're doing and addressing the some of the programs those service members and people can get help with, go through those programs, and then we can address areas in their health as well. So it's just some really cool things going on right now within just the partnership community, and we're we're all about trying to help that person like holistically all around exactly what's going on with them, addressing numerous needs and to get them back to just full optimization to healthy individual again.
I love it. I'll share this with everybody. So we have partnered with Transcend Company for this new project that we're working on, and it's been amazing just to see how you all act and what you do. I mean, we can get into the story of how we met, but it was online, yes, but it wasn't an online dating site. But it was just interesting how once you reached out and said, "Hey, I think we could be an asset to you guys," and we connected, how you truly are an asset for me and some of our athletes on our team. I'm now on protocol with Transcend Company, and I'm new to it, so I'm starting to definitely see effects of recovery. But that goal for me was that one missing link, which was I could do certain things to help myself, but I still don't feel right. Something just doesn't feel right. Now, I wouldn't say I walked away with the service with a ton of PTSD, but I definitely walked away with a TBI that was undiagnosed back when it happened in '05. So what happens if it's undiagnosed for years and years and years and you just keep putting yourself through the ringer? Who knows? But I'm the result of it. So at least I know that. So being on protocol with you guys and just seeing what's going to happen over the next 6 months to a year following this thing is absolutely exciting to me. I know some of the other teammates are super fired up. They're just like, dude, I just talked to Jesse, talked to Brendan. I'm so excited right now. I'm like, okay, you can't be better than me though. Okay. Keep it baseline, keep it baseline. So it's just awesome. Now, what I like about it is one, have a conversation with humans. It's not just a conversation on a phone. It was face to face, or it was on a Zoom call or whatever. So I'm talking, interacting with you. Two, I had more than one person there. So I knew that it had been discussed internally, not just doctors, but there was an internal discussion about me for my specific protocol. Number three, I couldn't believe how fast you all got stuff to me. I mean, I thought my wife was ordering stuff from Amazon because it would showed up like 2 days later, and it was just like, whoa, okay, that was seriously lightning speed. And you guys mean business when to get people started immediately. So that was humongous. And then the checkbacks. So it's not just I'm going to wait and we're going to see how you do, and then we'll do another blood test 6 months from now or 6 weeks from now or whatever, and we'll see how we're at. It's this continual checkbacks that I'm getting from Chris, Jesse, you, that are really interesting for me. It just keeps me on path of like, okay. And I think that's good for two reasons. One, because you care and you want to make sure that people are moving forward, and if they need anything, you're there. But two, it's also an accountability thing for the person using it too. Like whatever my protocol is, they're checking with me. Are you doing your protocols? Are you staying on top of it? Yep. And veterans, first responders, they get it. We get it. So it's been huge. It's been just in the infancy stage of our partnership. It's been an amazing deal to work with you guys. I'm so excited that you guys started a foundation too, because it just broadens your horizon to not only help people introduce them to what you guys are doing, but then also to help them get through it. Because there are some first responders in that are in a really dark place that can't afford to do stuff like this. So to be able to help those specific individuals get through protocols to get back to homeostasis, it's amazing. So I'm super fired up. One thing I want to do before we close out is I always ask each person, I don't negate the fact that you served, and I'm super grateful for all that you've done. You've done far more than I ever did. I want you to share with me a story of somebody that influenced you in your life, whether they gave their life for this country or they just did something miraculous that influenced your life. Tell me a little story about that person.
It's funny. Like I said, I'm almost about to retire out 20 years, so definitely have a few actually different mentors, different people within my military career that definitely sticks out. There's well, there's been a couple. I mean, there's one. Yeah, I mean, there's one that definitely stands out as far as a service member, a friend, platoon teammate of ours is no longer with us. And one of our deployments was to Afghanistan, 2009-10 timeframe. We were down. I was with the 82nd Airborne Division in a scout sniper platoon. And we were in Arghandab River Valley down there. So a guy, Chris Moon, is definitely one that Chris Moon actually had a very similar Pat Tillman story, actually. So you can look him up. He like a really good high school baseball athlete then got accepted to, I believe it like Arizona State to go play. And then he was already getting drafted by the Atlanta Braves. And so just a hell of a story and career of, how good of a baseball player this kid was. And kind of a similar story, like he left it all behind. He stood up at that point in time. He said, I want to go serve my country. And then he wanted to be a sniper as well. So eventually came to the 82nd, became one of our snipers, and was really good. And he was very successful. I mean, we were in Arghandab, putting terrorists down left and right, and he was very successful. And he eventually got targeted and was just pretty much blown up in half, right in front of our guys and everything. And that was the first couple combat stories. I guess I didn't really have anyone like that super close to me. I'd always, you had some buddies and stuff getting killed that you kind of knew of, or maybe not. But that was one that's like hit hard, like the most. And it's just always stuck with me. And then the stuff that they're doing, his family's doing now, I mean, after his death and everything, they've done some good stuff with the organizations and everything. But that deployment in and of itself was the roughest. That was my third combat deployment at that point in time too, and that was like one of the roughest ones. But he is, one of the guys that I still actually wear the, our bracelets on for honoring Chris Moon. But his story and his dedication and just the person that he was, the sacrifices that he made, and to this day, I always think about him and hold him near and dear to my heart as far as guys. And it's hard, man. It's hard to like kind of really go deep into talking more about it because I don't want to break down on your podcast right now. But just a close friend and just one of those guys that has always been, in the back of my mind, and someone that I've kind of held in my military career for the stuff that he did pretty high and everything.
Thanks for sharing that, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's a powerful way to end this thing. Hey, I really appreciate you being on. Everybody who's listening right now, go check out Transcend Company. Reach out to Brendan Quisenberry. You got a almost 20-year Green Beret, veteran now. And I'll just say this right now, he's still National Guard. So, he's still doing the job. So it's pretty awesome. But he's helping guys. He's helping guys like me get back to homeostasis and then really vamp up to being able to do things that we thought were, back in our 20s and that. And they're extraordinarily proactive at the company. I've met a ton of people at the company, all the leadership, and they're just great human beings. So go check out transcendcompany.com. If you're having struggles, go check them out, reach out to them and let them know, because this could be the fix for you. And it's definitely it's a fix for most people. So thanks for being on the show, brother.
Absolutely. Ryan, thanks for having me. And as far as promoting purposes, I'm going to throw it out there. We were looking forward to Human Performance Project since we are in partnership with you for February, 17th right now, tentatively. 7 days, 7 continents, 7 skydives, swims, marathons. Loving it. I'm glad that we were able to partner with you and to create the awareness for veteran suicide, physical, mental health, and first responders and everything, and just the stuff that you're doing as well, Ryan. Like, I'm just going to give you a shout right back out on your own podcast because you're a very modest guy. But the stuff that you're doing is incredible. And that's exactly what drew me to you and connected me with you, is some of the stuff that you're doing, which, again, actually go back to the question you asked me, like, who do I see emulating? I heard and saw the stuff on what you were doing and everything. And I was like, that's exactly what I want, like, my foundation to be. That's how I want to run it, with, veteran suicide awareness, the physical and mental health issues that a lot of these service members are going to, addressing the needs of physical performance, and how you were a Navy SEAL and I was a Green Beret and we never got that addressed, right? So creating that awareness and bringing it back to the hopefully the Department of Defense, and then helping out these other veterans and charities and organizations for suicide mental health is exactly what I want to accomplish as well. So I love the fact that we're partnering together, and I look forward to HPP in February 17th, 2023.
Yeah, brother, let's go get some.
Let's do it. Let's do it.